Good morning. Live from the Caroline Wellness Resort, I'm excited to announce Mia Kyricos. She's phenomenal, and I think what I love most about her is her title, President and Chief Love Officer of Kyricos and Associations. I think she's the only one that has love in her title, and I want to be a Chief Love Officer as well. Today, she's going to discuss 5 topics for defending your mental wellness. Mia is a global, respected, thoughtful leader in the business of wellness, well-being, and hospitality with a specialty in brand strategy and communications. She's developed, operated, and marketing wellness-driven brands and facilities across 1,000 countries, most recently as the Senior Vice President of Global Head and Wellbeing for the Hyatt Hotels and Corporations, as well as Spa Finders, Starwood Hotels and Resorts, and now with Kyricos in Association. Today, we're excited to have her with us, and here we're going to turn it over to Mia for top 5 tips for defending our mental wellness. Good morning.
Thank you, Global Wellness Day. I am so excited to be with all of you here on my favorite day of the week, Saturday, on one of my very favorite days of the year, Global Wellness Day. The world has been a lot since we celebrated this day together last year, and I couldn't be happier to be celebrating Global Wellness Day's 10th anniversary, or could I be more proud to have been involved since day one. And I also couldn't be more inspired than this year's theme of mental wellness. What an important topic, certainly connecting all of us around the globe. And since it's Saturday, I've decided I'm going to abandon all of my formal presentation tools and use some colorful signs branded with the help of my friends at Global Wellness Day to tell you my top 5 tips for defending our mental wellness in the months ahead, particularly as we start to emerge out of our COVID world. Beginning with number 1, which is pretty exciting because it's all about you first. We've all been tested this past year in ways I don't think we've been tested in recent history. And we've been reminded of the importance of our own mental wellness and well-being, along with that of our friends and family. And I think it's time that we truly abandon once and for all this crazy notion that self-care is selfish. In fact, beyond keeping things clean and hygienic, it's really time that we look at health and wellness as a responsibility to ourselves, the people that we love, and the community around us. Any doctor will tell you that the best way to prevent mental illness is actually to take part in mental wellness, things that do good for our bodies and souls, things like sleep and good nutrition and hydration and things that we know about are truly essential vitamins for mental wellness. And most importantly, at least in my opinion, is a really big toolbox filled with resources to manage stress, whether it's taking time to meditate, to simply take a breath or take a walk, or spending time with someone that you love, or participating in a hobby that brings you joy. These are all critical to maintaining our mental wellness. Think of it like a foundation of a house. It's impossible to care for others or if you don't care for yourself first. Which really brings me number 2. Make a stop list. When you're feeling overwhelmed, it's really time to pause. This is the number 1 recommendation that I've been given to my friends and my clients in our post-COVID world. You know, companies of all sizes, individuals of all walks of life have really been forced to do more with less in the world that we're living in today. Less time, less resources, less money, less patience. Yet many of us are still trying to somehow maintain that to-do list and accomplish all the tasks that we did back in 2019. And the reality is we can't unsee or undo the last year. I encourage you all to really consider what you will stop doing in order to allow more room for what's truly important, what's truly impactful, and what's joyful, because the power of joy has just as a positive effect on your mental wellness and well-being than any antidepressant that I know of. And if you're a leader of your household or your business, few things will send a greater message of care to your teammates or family members than if you encourage everyone to propose what you should stop and then create that list together and publish it for all to see. It really will send a message that you care for everyone's mental wellness and the collective success of your team. Which brings me to one of my very favorite antidepressants, vitamin nature. By now, even for you city dwellers out there, hopefully you've learned about the power of nature on your mental health and physical well-being. In recent years, doctors have been talking to us about all of these concepts that might sound a little silly when the reality is they're backed by science and evidence. Just think about our friends in Japan who've been talking about forest bathing for years. They've reported the power of just taking a walk with your eyes and ears and sights and sounds intent on the forest that can boost your mood, improve creativity, improve your immune system, reduce inflammation, heart rate, and the list continues. Our friends in France and Greece have talked about thalassotherapy, which is really healing in bodies of salt water, really since ancient times. And these practices can stimulate your endocrine function, home of your thyroid and your adrenal glands, basically increase your red and white blood cell count. There's so many benefits to really floating in water. And there's many other examples of how nature can actually impact your mental wellness. Doctors, even economists now have been reporting on the power of nature and its connectedness to health and walking outdoors. It's one of my very favorite tips to managing my own mental health and wellness. And I strongly encourage you, even if you're in a skyscraper, to find a way to bring the outside in or to get outside. Which brings me to number 4, arguably my very favorite tip of these 5 that I'm sharing with you today. I don't think there's ever been a more important time in history to lead with love. Now, some of you may have noticed my title of Chief Love Officer, and I like to think that I might be the world's first CLO, as I like to say, but hopefully I won't be the last. And while I am a very playful person, love is very serious business to me, both personally and professionally. In fact, based on my research, and yes, I spent months researching love as a business strategy and its potential to do good in the world, here's what I can tell you. Love is the greatest form of positivity. I learned that from reading this great book by Dr. Barbara Fredrickson called Positivity. There are 10 forms of it. Love is its greatest one. And she taught me that 80% of our thoughts are actually predisposed to be negative, which is why we need 3 positive thoughts for every negative thought in order to flourish in this life, to be mentally well. Things like love, but also hope, gratitude, awe, wonder, joy. These are all essential forms of positivity that don't just do good for us individually, but can actually impact companies' performance. I've actually learned for the few companies I've had the privilege to study, those that have institutionalized love and positivity management as a leadership practice actually tend to outperform the competition, often by millions of dollars. It's worth digging into. It's worth thinking about love, not just in the living room, but in the boardroom. And the truth is, I'm not exaggerating when I now say that I believe leading your life with love or your business with love can literally be the difference between succeeding and failing, living and dying, feeling hopeless or hopeful. And the very best thing I've learned about love is this. When you're feeling sad or depressed or literally stressed out of your mind, if the world feels like an unfriendly place and you're struggling in the heat of the moment or really stressed out, maybe you're in a fight with a loved one or a colleague, or maybe most challenging with yourself, and you feel a little unstable, just take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what would love do? This simple question will literally stop that fight or flight response that's happening in your subconscious and engage your reasoning part of your mind so you can see and think clearly once again. And it's backed by science. So if that's one thing that you do today, every day, ask yourself, what would love do? Which brings me to my final tip, tip number 5, which is simply care for others. Now, this might sound trite, but kindness really matters. And so it does when it comes to your mental wellness. If you don't believe me, you can ask Dr. Laurie Santos, who is a Yale professor who now famously teaches the Science of Wellbeing course, which over 3 million people, I think it's 3.5 million now, me included, have taken around the world. The reality is, few things can pull us out of a depressed or anxious state than we get out of our own heads when we do that and into the hearts and minds of others and the people around us. Research actually shows us that happy people are more motivated to do kind things for others, and the impact on our mental well-being is huge. Happy people also spend more time with others and have more meaningful connections, even if it's by Zoom, which I know we're all exhausted by. Whether verbally or in a handwritten note or letter expressing gratitude to those people, which is also a part of kindness and caring for others, helps to signal positivity in your brain and helps to keep unwell thoughts at bay. So take it from me that not only does caring for others do good, but it feels good for your body, mind, and spirit. So that, my friend, those right there are my 5 tips. You first, make a stop list, vitamin nature, lead with love, and care for others. I mean, who knew it could be that simple, right? So here's to your mental wellness, and here's to the 10th annual Global Wellness Day together. Make it a great one, and thanks so much for having me. See you later.